They told you the war on terror was about keeping you safe, but tell me this, how do you bomb fear? How do you drop missiles on an emotion? You can't, which means from day one, the story was a lie. You ever notice how the words they use shape the way you think about something? Like when they call it a war on terror. Think about that for a second, a war on terror. Not a war on a country, not a war on an army, not even a war on a specific enemy. Terror, an emotion, a feeling. How the hell do you fight a feeling? How do you drop bombs on fear? That's the first clue, right there, that it was never about what they told you it was about. Because if you're going to war against an emotion, then technically the battlefield is endless. It never ends. You can't surrender fear. You can't sign a peace treaty with terror. It's permanent. So they set it up from the beginning to be something that never finishes, and that right there should make you stop and think. Stop and ask yourself, what game were they really playing? And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people never want to ask that question, because asking it means you have to face the possibility that you've been lied to. That all those years of headlines, speeches, images of soldiers marching through deserts, explosions on TV, weren't what they seemed. That the thing sold to you as defense, protection, safety, was actually something else entirely. That's a hard pill to swallow, because the moment you accept that, you start seeing the world differently, and once you see, you can't unsee. But maybe that's the point. Maybe the war on terror wasn't really about protecting you from some foreign enemy. Maybe it was about controlling you, shaping your perception of the world, keeping you in a permanent state of fear so you're easier to manipulate. Because fear is the ultimate leash. Fear makes people trade freedom for the illusion of safety. Fear makes people sit down and shut up. Fear makes people ignore their own power. And when you strip it all away, isn't that what every empire, every ruler, every manipulator in history has done? They sell you on a threat, they make you believe you're under attack, and then they ride in as the savior with the solution. But the solution always costs you something, and here's the messed up thing. It's not even about politics. This is deeper. This is human psychology. Look at your own life. How many wars on terror do you fight every day in your head? How many times have you waged war against your own fears? The fear of failing, the fear of being judged, the fear of not being enough. How many times have you stayed stuck because you were too scared to move? That's your personal war on terror right there. And guess what? Just like the global one, it never ends. Because if you let it, fear will always grow new faces, new names, new excuses to keep you trapped. So the question becomes, do you really want to keep fighting a war that was never meant to be won? Or do you want to change the way you play the game? Because here's the raw truth, you can't destroy fear. But you can master it, you can flip it, you can make it your fuel. Fear is proof that you care, proof that something matters. Fear is energy, and energy can be harnessed. The people who told you the war on terror was about stopping some enemy overseas. No, man, the real enemy is the one inside you that tells you to stay quiet, stay small, stay afraid. But see, most people don't want to face that. It's easier to point fingers at enemies out there. It's easier to believe the lie that someone else is responsible for your safety, your future, your freedom. It's easier to give away responsibility than it is to own it. Because owning it means you're accountable. It means you can't hide anymore. It means if you fail, it's on you, and that's terrifying, right? But that's also where real freedom lives. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and told yourself the truth? Not the story you sell to others, not the excuses, not the filters, just the raw, unedited truth. The kind of truth that makes you uncomfortable. Like maybe you've been wasting your potential. Maybe you've been distracting yourself with nonsense because it's easier than chasing something real. Maybe you've been numbing yourself with entertainment, with scrolling, with whatever, because the silence is too loud, because the silence makes you face the terror inside. Isn't that the real war? Look, the system out there, they play their games on the big stage. Politicians, media, corporations, whatever label you want to throw on it, they know one thing: if you keep people afraid, you keep them controlled. If you keep them distracted, you keep them docile, and they don't even need to work that hard because you're already doing it to yourself. They just amplify it. They just give your fear a name, an image, a target, and suddenly you're on board. Suddenly you think you're fighting something out there, when in reality, you're just losing the fight in here. And I get it, man, I get it. Life is hard enough. Nobody wants to sit around and question the narrative when they've got bills to pay, kids to raise, demons to fight. You wake up, you go to work, you come home tired, and the last thing you want is some existential crisis. So you accept the story. You accept the idea that the war on terror is about protecting you. You accept the fear, because at least it's simple. But simplicity doesn't equal truth. Sometimes the truth is complicated. Sometimes it's ugly. Sometimes it means realizing the world isn't what you thought it was, and the people in charge don't care about you the way they said they did. But here's where it flips. Because once you see through the illusion, once you stop buying the story, you start reclaiming your power, you stop outsourcing your courage, you stop waiting for someone else to save you, you realize the war isn't out there, it's in you. It's in your habits, your thoughts, your choices, and when you start winning that war, the outside world doesn't have as much of a grip on you. Fear loses its teeth, the leash snaps. And then you become dangerous, not dangerous to others, but dangerous to the system that thrives on keeping you small. Think about discipline, for example. They sell you the idea that discipline is restriction, sacrifice, punishment. But really, discipline is freedom. Discipline is you taking back control from fear, from laziness, from chaos. Discipline is you saying, no, I'm not waiting for someone else to dictate my life. I'm setting the standard. I'm deciding how this goes. That's rebellion in its purest form. You want to fight the war on terror, master yourself, build discipline, build strength. Build the kind of mindset that can't be manipulated by headlines, by fear campaigns, by anyone else's agenda, and yeah, it's going to hurt. Growth always hurts. You're going to have nights where you feel like you're falling apart, days where you question everything, moments where you want to quit. But that pain, that's the price of freedom. That's the cost of becoming untouchable. The alternative is to stay asleep, to stay comfortable, to stay numb, and watch your potential rot away while someone else cashes in on your fear. Which one do you want? Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow, and instead of scrolling your phone first thing, instead of checking the news, instead of letting someone else hijack your mindset, you sit in silence for 10 minutes. You breathe. You ask yourself, what am I afraid of today? What's the terror in me right now? And instead of running from it, you face it. You look it dead in the eye and you decide, I'm going to move anyway. Do you realize how unstoppable you'd be if you did that every single day? Do you realize how much of your life would open up if you stopped letting fear dictate your choices? That's the battle cry right there. Stop outsourcing your courage. Stop buying into their wars when you haven't even fought your own. Stop letting fear keep you small. Start with you. Master yourself. Build the discipline, build the strength, build the truth. Because once you do, the outside noise doesn't matter as much. The lies lose their grip. The terror loses its power, and maybe, just maybe, that's what they've been afraid of all along. Not some foreign enemy, not some shadowy figure, but you. Fully awake, fully alive, fully free. Because a human being who has mastered their fear can't be controlled. And that's the kind of power that changes everything. So the war on terror, it was never about terror, not out there. It was always about terror in here. And the second you realize that, the second you choose to stop being a prisoner of fear, that's the moment you win. That's the moment you become unstoppable. So here's your call to action. Don't wait. Don't overthink. Don't keep telling yourself you'll change tomorrow. Pick one thing today, just one, that scares you, and do it anyway. Send the message. Take the risk. Speak the truth. Step into the fire, because every time you do, you kill a little bit of that terror. Every time you do, you take your power back. And when enough of us do that, the illusion collapses, the leash breaks, the war ends, so go fight it. Not the fake war they sold you, the real one, the one inside, and win. And you know what, man? The crazy part is most people don't even realize how much fear runs their life until you shine a light on it. It's everywhere. It's in the way you hesitate before speaking your mind. It's in the way you hold back from chasing that dream you've been carrying for years. It's in the way you shrink yourself in a room full of people because you're terrified of judgment. Fear has been in the driver's seat so long that you forgot what it feels like to actually hold the wheel. And that's the quiet tragedy. Not bombs dropping, not enemies out there, but the slow death of potential because you never confronted the terror inside. That's the war nobody talks about. That's the war they don't want you to win, because let's be real, a free, fearless human being doesn't buy as much, doesn't need as much, doesn't bow down to authority as much. You're harder to sell to, harder to control, harder to scare into compliance, and the whole machine runs on you being scared, the whole damn machine, scared you're not enough, so you buy more, scared of missing out, so you scroll more. Scared of being alone, so you settle for relationships that kill your soul. Scared of standing out, so you follow the herd. Fear is the currency. Terror is the economy. And the war, it's not about defeating it. It's about keeping it alive just enough to keep you hooked. But man, imagine what happens when you unplug from that system. Imagine what happens when you stop buying fear. It's like walking out of a fog. At first, it's disorienting. You'll feel naked, you'll feel exposed, because now you can see clearly. You see how many lies you swallowed. You see how many choices you made out of fear, not love, and it stings. It burns, but then comes the freedom, then comes the clarity, and with clarity comes power. Suddenly you're not reacting anymore, you're creating. Suddenly you're not surviving, you're building. And that's when the game changes. That's when you realize the real battlefield was never in the desert, never in some foreign land. It was always in your head, in your heart, in your spirit. You want to talk about terror. Terror is waking up at 60 years old and realizing you lived someone else's life. Terror is realizing you never took the risks, never chased the dream, never spoke your truth because you were too scared of what people might think. Terror is looking back and realizing you traded your potential for comfort, your freedom for fear. That's the kind of terror that should keep you up at night. And if you feel that in your chest right now, if you feel that sting, good, that means you're awake. That means you've still got time. So let me throw this at you. What's the fear you've been running from? Be brutally honest. Is it failure? Is it rejection? Is it being alone? Is it judgment? Write it down. Say it out loud. Drag it into the light, because fear grows in the dark. It feeds on silence. The moment you name it, the moment you call it out, you take its power away. You stop letting it sit in the driver's seat, and then you decide, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, right now, decide that you're done living small, decide that you're done being a prisoner, decide that the war ends with you. Because here's the truth nobody's going to tell you, courage isn't some magical gift, it's a habit. It's built brick by brick, choice by choice. Every time you do the thing that scares you, every time you step into the fire, you build courage. And over time, you realize the fear doesn't disappear, it just stops controlling you. It becomes background noise, it becomes fuel, and that's when you're unstoppable, that's when you're free, so don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the world to calm down, don't wait for the right time. There is no right time. Life doesn't hand you perfect conditions. The storm never stops. You either step into it or you let it bury you. And if you're listening to this, if you made it this far, then maybe that's your sign. Maybe this is the moment you stop fighting fake wars and start fighting the real one, the one in your chest, the one in your head. The one that matters, because when you win that, when you beat that terror inside, nothing out there can touch you. And here's the thing, once you stop letting fear run your life, you start to notice just how many chains were fake. Chains you thought were locked steel, turns out they were just string. Half the limits you believed in weren't real, they were stories. Stories fed to you by your parents, by society, by the news, by your own insecure voice in the middle of the night. And the second you rip those stories apart, the second you stop treating them like gospel and start questioning them, you realize just how much power you've been sitting on this whole damn time. It's like waking up in a cage you didn't even know you were in. The door's wide open, but you've been sitting there for years, convinced you were trapped, and now you've got two choices: stay in the cage because it's familiar, or step out and face the unknown. That's the moment of truth, man. That's the moment most people run back into the cage and slam the door behind them. But if you've got the guts to walk out, to step into the unknown, that's when life actually begins, and don't get it twisted. It's not going to feel safe. The unknown never does. Your hands will shake, your voice will crack, your legs will want to buckle. That's fine, that's part of it. Courage isn't the absence of that fear, it's moving forward while it's still there. And the more you do it, the stronger you get. Just like lifting weights, just like running miles, courage is a muscle. And the heavier the fear you face, the stronger that muscle grows. Think about how dangerous you'd be if you built that muscle every single day. If you trained your courage the same way people train their bodies, if you faced one fear daily, no matter how small, speak up when you'd normally stay silent, take the risk when you'd normally freeze, show up when your brain's screaming at you to run. Do you realize what would happen after a year of that? After 2 years, you wouldn't even recognize yourself. You'd be a force, and not because the fear vanished, but because it stopped owning you. And let me tell you, the world is terrified of people like that. Systems built on fear cannot handle individuals who don't buy into it anymore. They can't handle people who refuse to be manipulated by terror campaigns, by fear, mongering headlines, by manufactured threats. Because once you stop believing the story, you stop playing their game, and when enough people stop playing, the game collapses. That's real revolution. Not marching, not shouting, not waving signs, becoming unbreakable inside. Refusing to be ruled by fear, that's the war worth fighting. So if you hear anything from this, hear this: don't waste your life waging fake wars. Don't waste it chasing enemies that don't exist. Fight the real war. The war inside. Kill the terror that keeps you small. Build the courage that makes you free. And when the world tries to sell you fear, when they try to leash you with terror, you look them dead in the eye and say, "Not today." So here's where it all comes together. You've got two choices in this life. You can keep living in fear. Keep letting the war inside you run the show. Keep swallowing the stories they feed you and calling it reality. Or you can burn that script. You can decide right here, right now, that you're not going to be another casualty of a war that was never meant to be won. You can decide you're done being controlled by fear, done being a pawn, done being silent. And that decision, that's the line in the sand, that's the moment you step out of the cage and never go back. It doesn't matter where you've been, how many times you've failed, how much you've run from the fire. What matters is what you do now. What matters is the next choice, the next step, the next breath. And you've got it in you. You've always had it in you. That's the secret they don't want you to know. So stop waiting. Stop delaying. Stop telling yourself you're not ready. Nobody's ready. Readiness is a myth. You act, and then you become ready. You leap, and then you grow wings. That's how it works. That's how it's always worked. So fight the real war, the one in your chest, the one between who you are right now and who you know you're supposed to be. Stop letting terror run your life. Stop letting fear be your dictator. Take back your mind, take back your courage, take back your damn freedom, and when the fear shows up tomorrow, and it will, you don't run, you don't hide, you don't fold. You look it straight in the eye and you move anyway. Step into the fire, step into the unknown, step into your power, because that's how you win, that's how you break the cycle, that's how you end the war. So go do it today, right now. Don't just listen, move. Act, decide, because the only terror that's real is wasting the life you've been given. Don't let that be your story, not now, not ever.